We gotta go live because why? Alabama versus Oklahoma is coming up here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show, a Hog Media production presented by Sleeper. That's Colin Kennedy. I'm Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are down on listen to. While you're here, please wipe your feet and like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway. And gifted. So on today's episode, we got the special guest Colin Kennedy from 247 joining us. We're going to talk some ball like we always do, right? We're going to talk about Oklahoma versus Alabama. I got some advanced stats and I got an idea of how we can win. We'll also talk about some of the poll reactions because college ball polls dropped and we've got thoughts. So Colin Kennedy, how are you, my man?
CK and J show is back.
CK and J show's back, baby.
It's been a little bit. I know we're about to get carried away talking some football as we normally do, and for that, I am excited. I also, quick tangent, I mean,
give it to me.
This show deserves 5 stars for the intro beat. I've never told you that, but every time I watch your show or listen, that intro beat, I'm like, man, that's good. Like,
I appreciate it. A friend of mine made it for me. He actually did some DJing and he built it custom specifically for the show. And so, yeah, that's become
that's the celebrity you are. You know what I mean? You just have to pick up the phone and people sprint to get you the good stuff. You know,
I wish
that one day.
I wish. But no, man, I do appreciate you pulling up. Make sure you check out Colin and the squad over there at Sooners Illustrated, part of 247. Promo code SoonersPod60. Get you a hookup on the site. Put that in the chat. Please go check them out. Show them some love. But no, we've got a lot to talk about to start, man. I'm going to be all over the place for the next couple of days, too. I'm going to jump on with the Bama Standard soon. Got to talk there. And Colin, this game is... I thought the Tennessee game was probably the most critical game for Oklahoma this season.
Yeah.
And it now feels like this one here is somewhat elevated on it, mainly because you win, you're in the playoffs, because the last 2 games you should be able to prevail with kind of how things have fallen apart for both those teams, unfortunately. But you lose, you're not out completely, but the chances are super slim. What are you thinking about us heading to Tuscaloosa? Let's start off with just the simple stuff.
I've got 2 primary thoughts. So first one, kind of what you're talking about. I saw someone, and I want to say it was Mark, one of the guys that used to do an OU pod with an old buddy of mine, Mason Prince, from back in the day. He tweeted out a picture of someone texting him basically saying, I keep thinking about how this is the most important game of the Brent Venables era simply because I can't have an original thought. And I guess that might be some chatter out there among the fan base. And hey, I totally get it. And I thought about it and I thought kind of what you're talking about. Like, is it really his most important? Because to your point, if they win, don't get me wrong. I mean, that's as big of a pivot or a momentum surge as you could get. I mean, I said it on our board today. If they win, we are legitimately talking about hosting a playoff game in Norman. Like that becomes very much potential reality. But at the same time, I don't know that it's the most important, because if they do go and lose, again, to a highly ranked team, really good football team, that really kind of wants to beat you down. Like they're looking forward to seeing you.
They need revenge.
This team is still very much going to be in the playoff race. And if anything, if they even keep it close, I know I hate the competitive loss stuff, but like
Me too.
This is still a resume builder one way or the other, So I think that the narrative of this being the most important, I think that's certainly up for debate. I don't know that I'm necessarily all that convicted either way. But I will say, Jay, the other thing that came to mind for me, I said this on our game preview pod that'll drop Friday, and I really do believe in it. I love that this game has far more of a toss-up feel to it than I think any of us expected in the preseason. And I think that's great for the sport. I think that's great for Oklahoma fans and Alabama fans, certainly. But think about it. All eyes in the national landscape are going to be on two of the biggest brands in college football. And by the way, two brands who have a lot of history with each other. Like,
they really do.
Bama and Oklahoma, there's a series to discuss, if you will. And I said it on our show, like, this kind of has the feel of that signature loose comp, signature mid-afternoon SEC brawl in Bryant-Denny Stadium, where the good old days of, SEC on CBS, mid-afternoon kick, like, that's kind of what this feels like. And I think the fact that that's kind of the stage, there's so much meaning behind this game. And then, oh, by the way, there's college football playoff implications. I love the fact that this game has everything going for it, and I hope to see that on Saturday.
No, same. And you're right. It's funny because it cracks me up with the conversation around Brent Venables that this is the most important game of his coaching career. It feels like every game he coaches is the most important game of his coaching career. And every single time a game pops up, it's the most important game. Look, here's my take on that, though, CK. Brent has shown us that he can win these. He's also shown us he can lose them. At this point, for me, why do we continue to doubt that it's possible? I'm past you need to prove it to me again. I don't need that anymore. You did it. We went to Knoxville, Tennessee, Neyland Stadium, dark mode. They ain't lost the dark mode in a while. Walked out with a dub. Score is a lot bigger than it should have been because offensive made some mistakes that they probably shouldn't have. Not only should you have not made that pass, you probably should have just kneeled at the one, burned all their timeouts, and then run in for a touchdown to take a good 9-point lead and walk out the door. We won't talk about that portion of it, but I've seen it. This game last year, top 10 ranked Alabama comes to Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium, and what happens?
Yeah.
Homer blows the doors off of them. That game was just a muscling. Like, anybody I've talked to that's a Bama fan, they're like, yeah, I just beat the crap out of it. Like, it was just, there wasn't even the Ryan Williams play, they're like, yeah, cool. Yeah, that was a bad call by the rest. But overall, y'all just pushed us around. That play probably doesn't change anything for that game. And I'm like, fair point. You score a touchdown, been better. But overall, my thing has been, BV has won some of them and he's lost some of them. So at this point, I'm now in the mindset that it's okay. He's going to win some, he's going to lose some. I don't need him to prove anything else to me because I know that he can do it. Now, I'll probably be more perturbed if we lose this game in a way that's ridiculous because, like the Ole Miss game, we've won games like this. Do your job. Close it like you're supposed to. Strategize. Don't let them out-strategize you. But, yeah, I just think that's funny when people go in that direction. But so, with that being said, as we've gone this far into the season, CK, I want to start on the main thing here for Oklahoma. That dang defense. Look, some people, they're not going to be as impressed in the comments, I promise. But I'm impressed at this season the way it's gone. Still one of the top running defenses, technically still one of the top passing defenses, even though you've gone to get some great passers, and they've done solid, Trinidad Chambliss cooked. You also saw, Joey Aguilar really launch it. But how are you feeling about this defense as we've now gone into our 9th game of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel good. They're good at football. What do you want me to say? I mean, now that's for, broad strokes purposes. I think for me, when you talk about coming up this weekend, I don't know. I'm really interested because I think on one hand, what I like about this defense right now today is that they're roughly 2 weeks removed from getting a massive weight off of their shoulders, and that being the turnover issue. And I think that when a defense of that caliber suddenly gets the ball rolling, because, as we say, like in football, turnovers come in bunches. Once one gets secured, feels like several come down the stretch. And that's what you kind of saw in this Tennessee game a couple of weeks ago, right? And I think for this Oklahoma defense to be playing at the caliber it is, but then to also now have the turnover issue set aside, I was never personally all that worried about it just because I thought what they could do simply playing defense was pretty dang impressive.
Yeah.
But now they have that layer to them. And I think that is so critical now going into this game against Alabama. I talked about this a lot, but for me, this defense, I mean, we could sit here and talk about so many things, but two things for me come to mind. They are going to determine Oklahoma's ability to gain the advantage in the critical layers of a game, which is turnovers, third downs, red zone. And on top of that, they are going to have to contain one of the better passing attacks in the country, in my opinion. One of the more versatile passing attacks in the country. And I know that I was talking about this with someone today. I know Alabama fans hate Ryan Grubb, this, that, and the third. There's like 120 FBS teams that would love to have that dude yesterday. And I thought Brent had a really apt point earlier in the week. He said this game specifically is going to be about defensive position and leverage because Alabama has a true three-layered attack.
Yep.
They go over the top vertically. But for those who don't know, Alabama is quite literally one of, if not the best at attacking the middle of the field in FBS. I believe Ty Simpson is completing balls in the middle of the field at a 70% rate and has 1,000 yards passing in between the numbers.
Just in between.
Just in between the numbers. And then, Grubb's creativity formationally, structurally, and at the line with Simpson. And then the screen game. They stress you with yards after catch opportunities. And so at every layer of the field, this Oklahoma secondary, you kind of mentioned it, people question where they're actually at in terms of pass defense. Well, I think we're going to find out on Saturday, Jay.
Yeah, that's going to be the most important part is how we adjust our defense in preparation the way Grubb calls the plays, like you said. And it's funny, of course, the Lane Kiffin quote has been floating around. They asked Ryan Grubb at the presser, hey, Brent Venables and the sign stealing thing, Lane Kiffin has, called him out for that. What do you think? And Grubb, of course, made a tongue-in-cheek joke of, yeah, we're going to change all the signs. So if he's listening now, we're going to keep changing them over and over, blah, 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 as a joke. But at the same time, he pointed out that, hey, everything they're doing is legal within the confines of the rules. They're not doing anything to break any rules. They're just really good at catching tendencies. And so we've got to be prepared for that. Grubb likes to change things up a lot, too. And I was watching I think it was actually Teddy and Gabe, they were pointing this out over the OK Breakdown. They were pointing out how they'll move Caden Proctor out into a slot receiver spot. He's still in the line of scrimmage, but he's out of the slot, and it's like, what the heck are you supposed to do with this? To me, that's kind of where Kendall Daniels, can you go ahead and try to hit him hard? I know it's probably going to be a painful hit.
How crazy is it that with Proctor playing receiver and running back, we will have to legitimately say Kendall Daniels may be trailing Caden Proctor in this football game? I'm obviously joking, but
But are you?
It's nuts.
It's going to happen. They're going to throw him the ball, or they're going to run the ball with him in some capacity. They're going to try. But as mentioned, even in the comments here, the biggest struggle for Bama has been their running game. They have not, and it's kind of weird, in talking to my buddy Ty over there around the table, who's a big Bama guy. It's just weird how they just cannot figure out their run game. It's just to me, it feels like since DeBoer got there, the talk track was Alabama's offensive line's too big. They're really great in pass pro, but they have heavy feet, and they're just too big. They're as big as NFL linemen, but they're not as agile yet because they're still developing into more agile guys. So they're not very good on the run stuff, but it's just I don't understand how that correlates. But then I went back and watched some Washington tape.
Yeah.
This team reminds me of 2023 Washington. The one that went to the Natty. Ty Simpson's got great protection, and he throws darts. Remember, Michael Penix at that point had no knee ligaments. So he wasn't running. He was in the pocket, and he was just boom, 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 darting you.
Yeah.
Ty does the same. And they didn't really have a running game. Even though Dylan Johnson was solid, they weren't really running the game at the end of that. And it's something they couldn't establish. They just let Penix throw to them very athletic receivers, and they got them in space, and they did their thing. So, to me, the biggest challenge for Oklahoma, as I've been looking through this, is how do they defend Bernard, Ryan Williams, and all them other young wide receivers they got on their roster? How's the secondary hold up?
I think there are a couple of things that fascinate me with this discussion, because I saw that a couple people in the chat aptly put, like, well, Ty's not going to have the ability to sit back there and throw the ball. I 100% agree. And I think that adds a layer to this pass defense versus passing offense discussion that probably isn't getting talked about enough. Now, I've heard from some folks on the Alabama side that they are relatively concerned about Oklahoma's defensive front. And a lot of people have circled this matchup because of OU's defensive line. I think that if OU's defensive line can penetrate and decrease the amount of time spent in coverage for this OU secondary, that is going to completely change this. Because the other thing for me, Jay, like, I was battling with this behind the scenes. I struggle now with this game as we get closer, because, like, I have a hard time buying into the idea that a one-dimensional football team can outright beat Brent Venables.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, you talk about the run game. I think that they have the ability in the run game. I know it's not being executed.
Talent's there.
Said, like,
yes.
They have talent. They have tools. They have a coordinator. I don't want to act like, well, they have no run game, because they kind of feel like a unit that could figure it out at any moment. Almost like Oklahoma.
Right? That's exactly what that sounds like to me, because that's been my thought. They're at the same, to me, spot that Oklahoma is, that neither one is complete on offense yet.
Yes. And I think that, Jim Miller, I covered him in high school as a recruit. I think the world of that kid. I also did the math. Daniel Hill, their 6'1", 245-pound running back, averages like 3.6 carries per game. Now, he's gotten 6 or 7 over the last few weeks, which is well above his average. But I don't know, like, if I had a 6'1", 245-pound running back and I was struggling to run the ball, I would simply hand it to the large human being behind a large offensive line and say, like, go, like, lean on them until they give up. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least I tried with,
figured out,
again, the tools, talent, and ability. I don't know. The OU defensive line is such a big role in this. And I also think that Alabama's lack of a run game is either going to be overly exaggerated, or it's going to rear its ugly head. And all of a sudden, Alabama is going to be tasked with beating one of the best defensive coordinators in football with a one-dimensional offense. I know the Sooner secondary struggles at times. I think that the safeties and corners will have to play their best game of the season on Saturday. But again, when you break all this down, it's like, I don't know, this thing kind of gets hairy when you get into the weeds.
It does. When you look at all going into the advanced numbers, you going into the game itself, what they do. If this game lines up to where it's top defense versus top offense, and like you said, more so one-dimensional, which what the strength is with their one dimension is they do it really good.
Yes.
That's the only reason why they've been able to go this far, is because they're actually really good. And Ty Simpson is patient. He'll take a hit in the pocket and throw it. Granted, he's also fumbled 4 times this year from getting hit in the pocket, like getting blindsided. And we just watched Owen Heineke do that, and R. Mason Thomas return to the crib. So there will be opportunities for that, because I think our edges are fast enough to get around those big tackles.
Yeah.
You just got to get there fast enough before Ty's either getting rid of it quickly You got to hope that he's developing a deeper play, basically. He's developing a play, waiting for a play to develop to get a dude in space to throw it so you can hurry up and get there quickly. Now, granted, I think we get to the quarterback faster than most in the country. I think we're top 5 in our speed to getting to the quarterback. So that's going to help. He's going to have to figure out how to really move in that pocket. And that's, to me, where I think a slight advantage comes to Oklahoma. Alabama's line is really good. Don't y'all go out there and say Jay said that their offensive line sucks. Every show I've been on, I've said it. It's really good. LSU was able to get pressure with 3 or 4 dudes. The difference was Ty Simpson was in Georgia as well. Ty Simpson was stepping in the pocket, staying patient, and doing his thing. I think our defensive line is better than both of those. And I think that our dudes, when you get Stone in there, you get Dominic Williams, you get Grayson Halton in there, right? You get one of them to just basically go out there and take the attention one way and somebody else run through it. You should be able to get in there and really make him see people in his face. You want him to see those ghosts.
Yeah.
That, to me, feels like where the kind of advantage comes for Oklahoma. The question is execution.
Yeah.
I hate putting our corners on the island a lot, mainly because we got 2 young ones, and that's who they're going to want to pick at. But if we get the pressure, dog, this game is going to be a very, very, very close game. It's going to be really razor-sharp margins.
Yeah, I think what kind of just clicked for me, man, like we talk about one-dimensional and getting after the quarterback and all that. Look what happened in the Tennessee game. Tennessee became one-dimensional. Quickly. They averaged, less than 3 yards per carry in the run game with a running back who, by the way, was before that pretty statistically accomplished. And then when the Vols lost their ability to run the football and it fell solely on the shoulders of the passing game, everything changed. Yep. And now I will say, I think Alabama's offensive line is definitely a better unit than Tennessee's. Tennessee also dealt with in-game injuries. I believe 2 offensive linemen got banged up in that game. Sanders and then one of the guards.
Yes, both of them did come out for a bit. I think Sanders did return, but yes, they both did come out for a bit. So they did shuffle some bodies for, I think, about good 10, 15 plays. So yes, you're 100% correct.
And part of that too is, injuries aside, that's a mentality thing as well. When you're an offensive lineman getting thrown on the ground.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? Like when you have to go to the sideline to get checked up on, it's like, dude, these guys are for real, and Oklahoma's defensive line they've got to be a tone setter in this one for a number of reasons. But yeah, I mean, like the one-dimensional aspect of this is so fascinating to me. And I will say, I think Alabama's offensive line is good. I don't know that I would call them the best group in the country. I do think that they're vulnerable in certain moments or areas. And if OU can capitalize on that in a number of different ways, that would be a game changer for them.
No, I agree. I agree with you there. And it's funny because you say that, and I've said this even with you talking. I've talked this with numerous people, and this is just something I make sure I repeat this anytime I get the opportunity to, because I think our fans, Sooner fans, need to understand this. For the brand of physical football that you want to play, there will be collateral damage. Yeah, as you just mentioned, that Tennessee game, we knocked out 2 dudes. Michigan, I think we knocked out 3 at some point. They were shuffling guys because of injuries.
Yeah.
I think Ole Miss lost a player or 2 playing against us. Like you see these teams get hurt from our defensive line. That kind of is why our offensive line runs into issues with our D-line too. These dudes are built to go cause problems. And if you want them to be physical, they got to practice physical. And unfortunately, that's what happens, right? Now I think you can tone that down with the veterans you have today going forward, but you want your young dudes to still have that, to grow into that physicality to where you're terrorizing other offensive lines. So it sucks, but it's also basically a necessity.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, if you're not going to take that field in a place like Bryant-Denny Stadium against a team like Alabama, against a group that they're going to, let's just call it what it is. They're going to play pissed off. Both sides can convince me last year doesn't matter. BS, dude. Come on. We know what y'all are going to be saying in the locker rooms. And I think the other thing too, with that is, number one, if you're not planning to step onto that field with the level of physicality that you need to change the intensity dynamic within this contest, well, then I don't know what shot you have. But I don't think that's a question for me with Oklahoma. I
Me
honestly
either.
think they're going to be ready to if anything, like run through somebody and at least set the tone on that standpoint. What I
Yeah.
think through that, though, I am fascinated by is kind of the approach in this game, because I think part of physicality and setting that tone is, as we know, Brent likes to dial it up a little bit. He likes to get aggressive. And whether that's blitz packages, stunts, twists, what you name it, like that is very much part of the approach. The one game where I thought it was noticeable that they dialed that kind of stuff back was the Texas game.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened. And I think what's interesting to me is Alabama's screen game. We talked about the yards after catch opportunities for them. If Oklahoma chooses to dial it back and maybe protect the secondary, limit explosives, well, then all of a sudden, do some of the missed tackle issues that we've seen show back up again against a talented team like Alabama? I don't know. But if you're going to heat it up and you're going to go set the tone and you're going to call some blitzes and all that, man, you better get home, because all of a sudden you got guys running free. That receiver core, as dangerous as it is going to have some space. And Ty Simpson, son of a coach's kid who's going to be ready to play, like that dynamic to me within it. And I know it's so like specific, and I'm sorry for that. But
No. You're fine. No, it's a fair point, and I'm glad you kind of pointed that out, because the one thing my guy Cam Miller over there, I think it's a PSN something. Let me get the right name of it. PFSN. They do like the advanced stats and stuff too in games. And one thing that Oklahoma does in the country, one of the tops in the country, is they get a ton of pressure without blitzing. And as you mentioned, BV likes to dial it up. He's very strategic about his dial up, because he knows not only can he get pressure with just the line, which usually is what makes things really, really, really hard for opposing teams, but when he does dial it up, they get there even faster. And you got to make sure, like you say, it's got to be, because I think guess what it is. Highest sack rate without blitzing for FBS defenses. We're number one at 10.9%. Right behind us is Texas A&M at 10.4. So we get sacks without having to blitz, because highest pressure rate without blitzing, 41%, number 2 in the country, right behind Utah. We are in their back, we're in their, in their back seat, dang near when the play's called. So, but no, and that's, you're right. If when he dials it up, we have to make sure that Grubb doesn't have something short and quick happening, to where one of those dudes, because somebody mentioned in the comments, tackling in space is going to be the most important thing for us. That's the thing that makes me nervous. So, I want to talk offense now.
Yeah.
How Oklahoma's offense versus their defense. First, let's pay some bills real quick with our people at Sleeper. Have you ever heard of the Sleeper app? It's one of the top apps out there. 3, 2, 1. Have you ever heard of the Sleeper app? Well, you probably should know about it. It's a little secret. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users enjoy playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but the app offers so much more. Like right now, use our promo code UNFAIR, and they're going to give you $20 just for signing up. No deposit needed. Or if you want to deposit, they'll match your deposit at 100% up to $100. And so you can jump in there. They got some great stuff like live stats, real-time updates, and visualizations of all the stats. News, get lightning fast updates to your favorite player and teams. Plus, real-time chat. You can engage with others users, about individual players, plays, etc. So you can download the #1 sports app today. Experience it for yourself. Use our promo code UNFAIR, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. So you're going to match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Plus, if you just want to just check them out, they'll give you $20 just for signing up. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Ha, that's funny. I was muted. For some reason, it kept me
I was
muted.
like, I missed him. I'm like, where did
I
he
know,
go?
right? It's me. It's me. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, gives 5 stars. Shout out to Colin Kennedy and 247. Use the promo code SoonersPod60. They are going to hook you up over there at Sooners Illustrated. So, sorry, my bad. I was muted. It was really weird how that stayed muted. But I digress. I want to talk about Oklahoma's offense versus Bama defense. And the one thing I want to get your thoughts on, Colin, is this. That Bama secondary terrifies me 100%. This is the reason why. I talked to my boy Ty about this. That true freshman, it was a Dijon Lee, the corner. He's like 6'5". He took Domani Jackson's job. And we know how good of a prospect Domani Jackson was, right? He's a 10-2 100-meter dude. Baller. Yeah. Yo, that secondary's got me a little nervous. I love Keon Saab when he transferred in from Michigan. I thought he was a big pickup for them. I mean, he's kind of a diet. Caleb Downs, I guess that's you can give him that because he came from Michigan, and Caleb Downs is at Ohio State, so they probably would enjoy that reference. But that secondary is pretty legit. How are we gonna match up with that? I mean, how is John Mateer going to be able to try to surgically cut through that secondary?
Their top 10 in passing yards allowed, and curious to see where they are in terms of passing yards per completion. But 48, one of the top 10 passing defenses in college football. So this is one of my more interesting layers to this game. I'm sure you saw this, but on our preview pod that'll drop Friday, I was asked for like a player to watch, and I wholeheartedly admit I was like, I know I'm doing this incorrectly, but my intentions are pure. I don't know if you saw this, but Kane Womack, Alabama's defensive coordinator, was asked about Ben Arbuckle. They faced each other when Kane was at South Alabama and Ben was at Western Kentucky. They played against each other in a bowl game. And I believe, I don't even know if you can cuss on this show, but I will go ahead and say, Kane Womack's exact verbiage was, we got our ASS kicked.
That's kicked. Yeah. Fair point.
And I think the other part of this too, Ben has already bested Kane Womack in the past, but this is a totally different stage, totally different personnel for, several reasons. No slight to those players. I mean, totally different stakes at hand. And I think that both of those guys have changed a lot over the years. And I also think that on top of Kane, people forget that when Ben was at Washington State, Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer were both at UW.
Yep.
And so basically what I'm trying to say is, in two of Ben's primary stops in his career, all three of Alabama's leaders have prepared for him. He's bested one of them, been in some battles with the others.
Yep.
But I think what I thought was interesting was, like, when you think about it, Ben had, in whether it was beating down South Alabama and Kane Womack when he was at Western Kentucky or at Washington State with some of the quarterbacks that went through that program, I think there's an argument to make that Ben probably had more truly explosive units at both of those stops, more of a threat vertically or home run hitting ability, whatever the case may be. Going into this one, the fact that all three of those guys at Alabama know who you are and there's motivation for them, and you might be a little bit more limited offensively. I don't know. I am very curious to see how Ben Arbuckle approaches this game because of the familiarity, the personnel, the stakes, and everything. And, we've talked too, the game management. I mean, he's 2 weeks removed from the interception people are still talking about. See, I'm not really making a big deal of it because, like, they won the game, and I don't know. I think that's beating a dead horse, but You could talk me into that. You could talk me into the Texas halftime stuff, which I don't know. I personally think, if I'm really honest with you, I kind of think that he's covering for other folks in some of those instances.
Mm-hmm.
Not alleging anything, but
Mm-hmm.
Ben Arbuckle going into this game as OU's offensive coordinator for so many reasons, man. Like this has got to kind of be the game where he lays it all on the line. And if he brings it and he meets the moment, then this game looks a lot different.
100% agree with you on that. And his preparation is going to be critical for this game, because you're right. So to me, on the Tennessee one, real quick, the only thing that upset me was that as a coach, you're ingraining in your quarterback's head, you see this, you throw an RPO. You see this, you run an RPO. No matter the scenario or the time of the game, just don't give him the option, because his brain is built to do that. Now, the one thing that helps Arbuckle in this game is, and it's kind of weird to say, Joe John Finley has played against this defense before. He knows what to do. And now I do expect Womack to change his defensive philosophy going into this game and not be dumb enough to think a 3-3-5 is going to work on a team that even last year we didn't have a quarterback really. Like, we barely threw the ball.
Yeah.
You run a 3-3-5 in this game, we're going to run all over you again, just like last year. Plus, John Mateer is going to throw the ball all over you, because I do think that, and I know, understand some people are concerned about Arbuckle scheming in this game and everything. Keep it a buck. I went back and watched Texas. I went back and watched Ole Miss. When you see the off 22 tape, there's dudes wide open. He just wasn't throwing it. And my thought still is, when BV said he had a knee thing, and I believe it was the Michigan game, and that continued, that was why he didn't have the confidence in not only his hand, but his ability to make those throws. Because you got mess up hand, trying to get the good grip, but you still got to plant to launch it. He looked like he didn't want to plant, right?
Yeah.
And so, but second half of Tennessee, he looked like he was confident. He was 12 for 16, right? He was out there dealing in the second half, and I was like, oh, this feels like Michigan John Mateer. If he does that again, actually see dudes open, we should be able to keep up with Bama, no problem.
People forget too the second half of the Auburn game when he completed damn near 19 passes, like almost in a row.
In a row.
Broken thumb. Like in that game. I mean, okay. Let's talk about this. Everyone's doing the whole, is this the most important game in the Brent Venables era? This is the most important game of John Mateer's career.
Oh, this one is, yes.
Like, you want to ask who this game is most important for? This is John Mateer's everything this weekend. And I think that for me, I don't think he has been perfect as a passer by any stretch. I don't want to come off as saying that. And I don't think Ben Arbuckle is the problem he's being made out to be. I'm a big fan of Ben Arbuckle. I also think that, the covering up stuff that I was kind of hinting at, like, I kind of think, there's no way to know for sure, and I would never ask, but like, I kind of think John maybe had something to do with that moment as well, which is okay. I mean, like John mentioned in the preseason, like, hey, there is some freedom and flexibility to kind of call your shot at the line within this offense. And I don't know. Here's what I'm trying to get to. I don't think that John has been perfect, but it's like you mentioned in the second half of the Tennessee game, he's been enough. He's been more than enough at times. And when he is efficient and he is enough as a passer, the number one thing for me that I was thrilled to see for John was the confidence returning as a runner of the football.
Yes.
He looked different against Tennessee, didn't he? And
he felt like Michigan in the second half. First half, it was still some hesitation. It looked like a little dancing. Like, nah, dog, stop doing that. Make a choice. Go.
Yep.
And then he's like, oh, wait, I can step on this leg and it doesn't really bother me. Or they shot him up and was like, does that feel better? He's like, yeah, I can do that. And he started booking it. And when I saw him running, I was like, oh, he's better.
Yep.
That's what we need. That's what we need to win this game. And that's what we're definitely going to need in this Bama game. But I don't want him to be the main rusher, I guess you could say, right?
No, I just think his confidence returning as a runner of the football does two primary things for this group. Number one, you saw in the Michigan game what they're capable of as a unit when able to call the +1 run game.
Mm-hmm.
John is the engine of the group. And if he is able to extend plays and operate outside of the pocket effectively, and if you'll remember that big pickup on 3rd down and 16, a gain of, 21 yards, he scrambles for the first down. Huge play in the football game. On top of that, though, they called his number a few times in the Tennessee game, just like they did against Michigan. And what happens? You're all of a sudden you're on schedule. Maybe you're ahead of schedule. And when they can build their offense kind of through the +1 run, not lean on it entirely, when they have that element to them, that changes everything. And then I think number two, when he's going as a runner, I think you can feel the confidence of that group go up. I think they feed off of their quarterback running, picking up tough yardage, running through people. And I think when this offense sees that he's on, you and I talked about it on this very show.
Yep.
I thought when on that first drive against Michigan, they called John's number like 6 times and he was killing it. I thought that the entire unit on that first drive against Michigan went, oh yeah, like we're about to go score. We're going to go win. And from there, it was night time. Like I just think obviously there's schematic advantages to having him being back as a runner of the football, but this unit's mentality changes too when they see him picking up yardage with his legs. And he kind of got back to that against Tennessee. If he can do that in this game too, he's got to be there as a passer. Don't get me wrong, but man, that would change a lot in terms of the trajectory of this game.
Oh no, 100% agree. Because second half in this Tennessee game, like I said, it made me feel like Michigan. He was, he was 12 for 16 for 115 yards. It wasn't a lot of just super big throws, but you didn't have to. You took the lead, and at that point, you're babysitting that lead to close this game out. That's when you started to see more run. That's when you got over 100 and something yards rushing. You got 137 yards rushing in the second half. X-Rob was basically giving it to him. So he was like, all right, Here you go. And the only reason why the numbers looked like they were because, some little mistakes we were making. But that's that as you said, you're starting to see that confidence. And him as a +1 in that offense, man, it's dangerous. But that's also the thing that he did at Washington State. I think for him, what he's also learning is that he doesn't have to be the end-all be-all in this offense anymore. He had to, for the most part, even though he had Wayshawn Parker, who, truth be told, he was pretty darn good for Washington State.
Oh, yeah.
He felt like he had to do everything. And by doing everything, he put himself and the team in a situation where he's got to be saved or whatnot. I feel like he has to be the savior, I guess you could say. He can now pull back and realize, get about X-Rob. We figured out the run game. That, to me, the insertion of EPL at guard and Fogier as the right tackle. And we talked about this before the season started. You were pretty high on what Fogier's potential is. I think we were talking about him being an SEC guard initially. Started to try it. Didn't seem to work as we would have liked. But it feels like he figured out tackle really fast. It's like, oh, okay, so you are a tackle. We need to play you. But they got a nastiness to him.
Yeah.
Like they complete plays, the GT counters, the pulling, they complete them. You start to feel more confident in what they're doing. So, and John is also looking like he's a lot more comfortable in the pocket. Yeah. That to me is the Ty Simpson similarity there is Ty is very comfortable in his pocket. He's going to get hit blindsided because he's so comfortable. He'll miss those. John won't yet because John still has the mindset of if things get a little too muddy, if the pocket's too muddy for me, I'm going to tuck and get up out of here.
Yeah.
If there's a hole for me to go through. And sometimes he misses that. But that's going to be important against this Alabama defense.
I think so. Kind of going broad strokes purposes now on offense for them.
Right.
Here's why I'm so interested in this. I saw someone mention something to the effect of like it's a different unit offensively for Oklahoma. Here's why I'm so interested in this game. When you talk back to last year, I have a hard time with this one because the Alabama team that lost to Oklahoma a year ago is pretty markedly different in a lot of ways than the group that they will see on Saturday. Like Ty Simpson gives them an element at quarterback right now. And I'm a big Jalen Milroe guy. So let me get that out there. I love Jalen. Ty is just an incredible quarterback. And that's going to add an element to defending this team that just wasn't there. And Alabama made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, let me add to that. To me, Jalen Milroe was Kalen DeBoer trying to put a square block in a circle hole. Yeah. That's basically what it was. He was trying to conform him to that offense, and they had to do those design runs because that was one of his biggest strengths. But he just didn't have the touch of a Michael Penix to put the ball in certain spots. Can't do anything about that. But Ty Simpson, again, he reminds me more of the way Penix played, where he is a surgeon and he will just throw darts.
Yeah, and building off of that, what I think we keep forgetting too is like Ryan Grubb wasn't calling plays last year either.
Nope.
They had a guy calling plays who got the job late because Grubb dipped up out of there and went to the NFL. And that all respect, maybe should not have been the move, or like that wasn't an ideal situation for them. It's probably the fair wording. It probably wasn't fair to that individual, and it probably wasn't fair to Alabama. Grubb, we talk about Ty Simpson, totally different than the product that was on the field in Norman last year. So there's a lot there. Yeah. Here's why I bring that up. For all of that's going to be seen on Saturday with Alabama, a lot of that in some ways can, and honestly, it cannot be seen on Saturday for Oklahoma. And here's why I say that.
Yeah.
I think that in a lot of ways, Oklahoma has raised its ceiling at quarterback. It honestly has a much better ceiling at receiver. And on top of that, though, they've raised their ceiling from a play calling standpoint.
That's true.
They have. That said, though, why I say some of that stuff cannot be shown. When you look back, I thought in that game, the Oklahoma offensive line arguably played its best game of the year, specifically from a physicality standpoint. To what you're talking about, I thought that group in the Alabama game did enough from, an intensity perspective to take it to the Alabama defensive line. And I thought that then got Xavier Robinson, who needs to kind of be the ways of old. He fed off of that and really changed things against Alabama for them last year.
Yeah.
So in some ways, this kind of has to look similar, even though a lot of this stuff is different, because I think that this Oklahoma offensive line this year has far more capability to be physical and intense. And by the way, they're freshmen, so like the Foje stuff, sometimes they haven't had a ton of time to develop or anything, but like they also, Ben has talked about this, they kind of don't know any better. So they're willing to go in there and fight. And that's great. They've got X-Rob coming back. I think him having familiarity with this matchup is huge. It builds confidence, right? But this is the big thing to close it out. And curious to hear what you think about this. Why I go back to this, in some ways you can't really change what you saw a year ago.
Right.
What kind of won them the game last year? Jackson Arnold in the +1 run game.
Yeah, that's true. And I wonder if that's what Womack's going to be focused on, is stopping Mateer in the +1, which leads to the next problem of Mateer is going to be throwing it, in which Mateer can throw. I mean, he's not risk averse. He will throw an interception here or there. And that's the one thing Alabama wants. So it does feel like their goal is going to be stop the run, make Mateer beat you with his arm.
Yeah.
That could be dangerous for them too. Because you don't want to be on an island with Isaiah Satania too long. You really don't want to be on an island with Deion Burks for too long when Deion Burks is really out there giving 100%. You don't want to be on an island with Giovanni Gibson too long as he's getting better. We'll find out. I know someone asked in the comments about the injury report. We'll get that at 7:10 Central Time. So roughly in about 20 minutes, that will populate. Since we got a good conversation going, we'll probably be around here to prepare and talk about that because I'll pull it up live and we'll go through it like we always do. But Owen, to answer your question here, which is good, BV has not seen a Ryan Grubb offense. The only person that he could have in a connection to that Grubb offense would be seeing how Texas struggled against them, how PK struggled in stopping Penix at Washington. That would be, and that's 2 games too. Remember, they played them twice. They played them in the Alamo Bowl, Washington won. Then they played them in the playoffs, and Washington won. So that's 2 games where you could refer back to see what Grubb's going to try to do, because Grubb struggled in the NFL. It was unfortunate for him. It was not a good showing for him there. But I do think, as you mentioned, X-Rob having familiarity with that defense, him and Joe John Finley. I know nobody wants to hear that, but Joe John was calling the plays in that game, and you saw the results of run the dang ball. This was post firing, so you got Joe John running this Owen. They played them. They out physicaled them in this game, and to me, that's probably where we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to play the super physical game of just running it down their throat. Now, I do think Bama's going to say, we're going to stop you from running on us. We want you to throw, even though their run defense has not been that great this year. It's been okay. I think with Georgia, they ran for 100 yards on them, and Georgia was struggling in the run game. I think Nate Frazier got 100 in that game. So
I think that their run defense, sorry to cut you off, but I do think that, to your point, their run defense is notably a concern going into this game.
That's just how it's been all season. Yeah, actually, it was Chauncey Bowens for Georgia ran for 119 yards on 12 carries. So basically what Georgia's defense, when it comes to the run game, they do the same thing as Oklahoma, but a little bit more. They give up big plays randomly, but then they'll stop you and make you force you to get 1s and 2s outside of massive runs. Like Bowen had a 43-yard runner, Dylan Bell had a 43-yard runner. Nate Frazier had a 24-yarder. So with them, they're not gonna themselves not break, but they will let you get a big play. The question is, can you score on that big play? In which X-Rob and Torrey Blaylock has enough breakaway speed to where if they can get to the second level, they're probably gone in this game. So that's, to me, that's truly where that key is going to be. But you're right. They're going to try to make John Mateer beat him with his arm. The question is John Mateer... Actually, you know what? This kind of goes back to what you said, CK. This really is the most important... This is the most important game now in John Mateer's career. The first one was Michigan for me. Because Michigan was like, all right, what we see in Michigan will tell me who you are. He gave us Michigan. He was back in the Heisman Trophy conversation at that point. You're like, oh, okay, so you can do this. Then the injury against Auburn, in which he played the entire game mostly with that broken bone, and he was able to continue it. He just has not recovered from that, which I still think now that tells me it's got to be knee. I don't think it was fully the hand. I feel like it was knee. Are you back?
Yeah.
Are you back to your old form? You had a week off. You did good against Tennessee. Are you back? That's my question now. Mm-hmm. Can John Mateer give us the numbers that we need in order to at least keep this game in? Because I think it's going to be in the 20s. I think it's going to be early 20s. 20, 24, 21, 23-ish. Special teams are going to be critical, but I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
I think it was either 27-24 or 24-21. I basically said that Oklahoma was going to cover the spread at the very least. And I still don't feel great about it. But I think at the end of the day, like, I don't think that you need to look at John Mateer and say, hey, man, like, you got to hit on a couple, like, 40-yard bombs and, like, blow this game wide open. I don't think that's what needs to be asked of him. I think that you round up that offensive line, those receivers, the running back core and John Mateer, and you go, all right, if there is ever going to be a game where we sustain drives and we finish drives and we just take the air out of the crowd and we lean on that defense, and eventually they will become more susceptible to explosives. Like, this is the game to do that.
Yep.
And so I don't know that he has to be Superman. I don't think that he has to throw for 300 yards. And I don't think that that's a message that either one of us, but I think you and I are both in the same boat in saying this has to be John Mateer's most efficient and effective game of his career. And if he does that, if he brings that to the table, well, then Wyatt's arguably his most important collegiate career outing. He could be the sole reason why they go into a signature atmosphere and have a legitimate shot at the college football playoff. And that's fascinating to me.
Me too. I'm intrigued to see, can they actually close that out that way? Because this leads you right into the playoffs. And this leads you into what you paid for with John Mateer. It's funny because regardless of how this game goes, we are literally in line what most people thought this team was going to be, 9-3 or 10-2. We're right there in line. And I'm not saying that Missouri and LSU are just guaranteed W's, but both teams are going through some things. Mm-hmm. And you have a better chance. I mean, Missouri has a true freshman quarterback. Brent Venable does a really good job against true freshman quarterbacks. That's kind of his thing, right? And this will be his third start of his career, possibly. Yeah, third start. He's going to have the kid in a spin kind of like he was last week.
Yep.
You've got, that's a good opportunity. LSU, same thing. Michael Van Buren, we were trying to recruit him. We wanted him. That was a Levy recruit. He followed Levy to Mississippi State. Didn't work out. Now he's probably going to start, because I don't know if, I think Nuss really is injured, like legitimately hurting.
I feel
as
so
to
bad
why.
for that guy.
I do too, man. I think he's got a legitimate injury, and then his coach was just awful. But from that, we just got to go in there and we got to exert our dominance. We got to push him around. We've got to make it happen. So we've got about 10 minutes before the injury report drops. I want to talk to you about these polls. First, pay a quick bill. We're going to get Colin's thoughts on this college football playoffs. Well, if you think you know ball, let's make some picks right quick and see if you can outdo me. Shout out to our partners here at Sleeper. They're going to hook you up. They're going to match your deposit at 100% up to $100. If you just sign up and use our promo code UNFAIR, they're going to give you $20 just for checking them out. So if we're going to go in here for some actual live picks here, cool thing is right now I'm doing a 30% boost for the NBA. So how it works, they're going to boost your profits by 30% if your contest wins. Rules are pick 3 or more players, pick more or less on the statistics. So if we go here to the NBA here, let's look. Of course, I want to get a little bit of Karl Anthony Towns. He'll probably get a double-double. Suggs, that's an interesting one. Didn't think about it. But Wembanyama is definitely one on the free side you got to take advantage of. Afrin Sengun, he's been killing it. I'll go less on Rui Hachimura making a 3-pointer. But again, you just pick a whole bunch of these players. We'll pick Josh Giddey on a double-double as well. See how lucky we get. And I don't think Domantas Sabonis will get that double-double. Also got college ball in here. And so, if we go in here and we look at the Oklahoma-Alabama game, which is what we're talking about, they, of course, got some good stuff in here. Let's see what we have available. I'm probably going to lay hands on, again, you can pick different type of stats. I think Xavier Robinson's going to have himself a good game. And I actually think that Ty Simpson's going to, work his butt off. Question is, what is John Mateer going to give us? So, you know what? Board, give me some John Mateer action. Actually, my slip is full. So we'll make these picks. And boom, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So check them out. Use our promo code UNFAIR. They're going to give you 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 plus $20 just for signing up. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Thank y'all again for pulling up. Hit the like button. New to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Check out Colin Kennedy over there at Sooners Illustrated. Sooners Pod 60 is the promo code to get signed up over there. Help out and check out all the great local journalism that they are hooking us up with. Colin, the college football playoffs dropped. And as we're talking about this now, we know that Oklahoma is still in the race. Luckily, we're the first ones out. So when I look at this here, using my one from over Locked On or whatnot, you've got us jumping, of course, BYU losing to Tech in the way they lost, dropped them all the way back. Texas is right ahead of us. I'm still trying to understand Notre Dame being at number 9, but you know what? I guess the win over USC was what was most important. Can Oklahoma find a way up even if they lose to Alabama? Like, how, if we lose to a nail biter to Bama, how far do you think we fall?
I think there's a few layers to that. Obviously, I think Texas, Georgia coming up this weekend is going to ultimately determine that, right? I think if Texas were to fall, and I think that the Longhorns are going to lose this weekend. I don't know very many teams that go into Athens and beat Georgia, especially when Kirby was in a jokey mood. I don't know if he caught that a couple days ago, but
I did.
I guess he was texting Sark and be like, "Hey, what you up to? Can't wait to see you." And it's like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to play against that guy when he's in that kind of mood. But I think that the Texas Georgia game is going to shape your odds of moving up, and then Notre Dame and Pitt this weekend. Now, it's not the most popular thing. I wouldn't have Notre Dame above Oklahoma or Texas, but I also I get it because they are on one heck of a win streak since the early loss. They have had one of the best margins of victory in the country. You mentioned the win over USC. They just beat a Navy team that was 7-1 before that matchup, and I think that the committee probably took that into consideration. Beat the brakes off of Arkansas on the road. Not calling that a major resume booster, but basically what I'm saying is this is a team that has largely taken care of its food and has a couple of pretty decent wins. I'm not saying I would have them above Oklahoma or Texas, but I see why the committee did it. I think that if Notre Dame loses to Pitt this weekend, I don't think that's going to happen. And then if Texas loses to Georgia, if you're Oklahoma, man, you legitimately just got to find a way to keep it close. I'm not saying just find a way to keep it close because that's a loser mentality. But I'm saying, to your question, at that point you're set up in a competitive setting to be pretty firmly inside the race of the playoff. And that's all you could ask for if you went and lost this game. You go win and those two outcomes happen. I don't know. I keep coming back to how crazy it would be to see a playoff game go to Norman, Oklahoma. So I'm very interested in this. I don't really know where you stand on it, but I think it's interesting because there's some opportunity to rise even with some variance of outcome.
Yeah, I don't think that Oklahoma has to keep the game close regardless. You keep the game close and you close out your last 2 games, you are still in the at-large conversation. Your struggle comes in because if Vandy closes out the season, knocks off Tennessee, that puts you in a position where you could struggle there. Miami's most likely going to fight up there. The question is, does Miami even play for the ACC championship game, which the ACC right now is making things hard for everybody because if the Canes don't play in the ACC championship game, but they're highly rated, there's a chance they get jumped by the ACC champ and then they could take a final spot. There's so many pieces. The Big 12 right now is looking like a 1-bid league right now. Tech is going to have to probably play BYU a second time in the Big 12 championship game unless one of them loses.
Yeah,
it's so much there, but I did the mathematics around it.
Ooh.
CK, I did the mathematics. There is a possibility for the SEC to have 6 teams that are at minimum 10-win teams this year at the end of the season before the SEC championship game. Then you add the SEC championship game in there. Somebody could either have 11 wins, 12 wins, hell, A&M could have 13 wins going into that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you do? So if A&M has 13, Georgia goes in, or actually Bama goes in. Bama has, because they only have one conference loss, which possibly if it's Oklahoma, that'll be their only conference loss. It'll be them versus A&M, and then that'll be Bama's third loss at 10-3. Or if they could pull it off, 12-1 A&M, a 11-2 Bama, then Georgia's still should finish 10-2.
Yeah,
Vandy could finish 10-2. Oklahoma could finish 10-2. Ole Miss could finish 10-2. That's 6 teams. They're going to be in a conundrum trying to figure that out. That's going to be a pain. Yep. I wouldn't want to beat them for that.
I don't know what the answer is going to be in that situation. I kind of hope it doesn't get to that point, if I'm honest with you, because the discourse on social media is going to be so incredibly toxic.
Oh, it's going to be awful. It's going to be awful.
I'll love it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I will.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
messy.
But I won't say anything. I just think, I think for me, I'm just like, sometimes the whole so-and-so missed, this is a catastrophe. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I just, you should have put yourself in a position to be in there. But to your point, it's like, I think it's crazy that we're setting it up to where, honestly, the Big Ten and the SEC championships may not even mean anything. Like, that highest 4 seeds are going to get the buys. Well, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, or whatever.
Right.
I mean, there's a legitimate world where the winner and the loser of both of those title games still get bye weeks. So I don't know what we're doing, but the depth of the SEC, I think that is going to be something to monitor, specifically to Oklahoma. Where does Tennessee finish in the rankings? I was kind of surprised they were that low in the polls, because I didn't think they were the number 23 team in the country.
Yeah, that's a drop. That was a big drop, and it's funny as people are pointing out, drop the ACC champ and the G5 champ. That's a weird one. I don't know how I truly feel about that. Yes, RC3, we will be showing the availability report. It's about to drop in a minute as we talk about this ACC G5. Because I know you got opinions on that, because I am weirded out by it in a way.
Yeah,
because I get it. We have 130 teams.
Yeah.
You kind of need to make it at least look like you're giving everybody opportunity to play in a championship game or play for a championship. But, like, this is not the right way to do it, right?
So, have you seen the ultimate chaos scenario that is floating out there relative to specifically the ACC and the G5? If you don't know, there is a world where the ACC does not get a bid in 2 group of 5 conference champions.
I have heard that. That's kind of wild. That's a possibility.
I don't know exactly all the ins and outs, but basically, for those curious, and I won't spend too much time on this because stay tuned. We're about to talk about the injury report. I'm
just dropping. I'm loading it up as we speak.
Basically, from what I can gather, if Duke, for example, were to win out,
okay,
well, in that world, they would be a conference champion, but they would not necessarily be as highly ranked as USF or whoever, and then like a James Madison, for example. And I believe both USF and James Madison are in the top 25 currently.
Yep.
If that happens, the verbiage that has been used is like the 5 highest ranked conference champions qualify for the playoff. Well, if the ACC champion is not as highly ranked as 2 group of 5 conference champions, then by law, they are required to then put the two highest ranked conference champs, whether or not they come from the Sun Belt, the American, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, so
and that is now apparently a very real possibility if the ACC breaks it to where like they have a team win the conference that is not keeping pace with the likes of a USF, a James Madison, or even a Tulane, for example.
I didn't even think about it that way. That's wild. Because that's true. Georgia Tech, you got work to do, dog. Don't y'all screw this up. Hey, don't screw this up.
Duke, go do it, Duke. Let's do it.
Duke, that'd be so funny if Duke just destroyed it for them. That would be hilarious. But that's a very, I didn't think about it that way. You get two undefeated G5s, move up. That would be crazy. So, all right, availability report is dropped and people are asking questions.
Here we go.
Questionable. Barnes, of course. Tatum, of course. R. Mason Thomas and Jaden Jackson.
Yep.
They're both on there. Probables, Keontae Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, and Derek Simmons. So you may have Derek Simmons come back. I don't think he starts, but you can have him play in this game. Rotational piece. But the Jaden Jackson one, to me right now, I guess this is where everybody's losing their minds.
So, you know, I was on the phone with somebody earlier today. I personally, I know this isn't popular. I struggle sometimes to talk about injuries because I want to be respectful to the families and the individual,
right.
And for lack of a better term, the medical privacy there. Word is that he may have tweaked something. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be like a long-term serious thing, but sounds like something may have popped up, and now, you know, the status is obviously questionable. Yep. That being said, you know, I think that there is a world where Oklahoma, even if Jaden Jackson is in the realm of possibility to go, there is a world where they potentially choose to rest him because, as someone just pointed out in the chat, I mean, Grayson Halton is playing as good a football as anybody in that room.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's saying something.
That's a very fair point.
And I think the other thing too is Grayson Halton is arguably your best pass rushing interior threat. Arguably.
Yes. To me, JJ is much better on the run stuffing.
I think Jaden is one of the more complete profiles along with David Stone. I think Dominic Williams is obviously an elite run stuffer. I think Jaden and David kind of hover in that, can do a little bit of everything, although I think David at times can be a little bit more effective as a pass rusher. But, you know, I've pointed out this out in the past, like Brent loves to call TTs with Dominic and Jaden in the game. He likes to try and get Jaden rolling downhill, the big bowling ball that he is. That being said, Grayson Halton can do all that and then some. And I think in this game, like we talked about the Alabama passing attack and everything, having a guy like Grayson Halton in there for you isn't the worst thing in the world. And then that kind of takes me to R. Mason Thomas. Let me kick it to you on this. How are you feeling about it? What have you heard? And based on that, what's your outlook for Oklahoma, whether he should or should not go?
So for me, first off, I think it sucks for R. Mason Thomas, being that this is his last year. Yeah. So I feel more bad for him in that capacity, that he doesn't get to play in the final road game in the regular season for his career. Sucks. I hate that for him.
Well, and quickly, not to cut you off, but he's questionable currently.
Yes, he's questionable. Doesn't mean he won't. He's questionable, right? It's all about how he takes treatment during the rest of the week. So we'll see what that looks like. If they said quad is what I've been hearing, and if it's quad pull, that could lead to a quad tear. I would sit him this game. This is why. I am very confident that Danny Okoye is ready to play. I'm very confident that PJ Arabaware, who got that tackle for loss on Joey Aguilar when they tried to do, I'm just going to say it out loud, when they stupidly tried to run the quarterback run play to get the first down on us. Like, I like Joey Aguilar. And I'm on record on numerous places, CK, saying this, that he was going to be better for Heupel's system than what Nico was. And he has proven way past that. That dude don't run. Don't do that on a defense that's really good at run defense. And PJ showed that. He broke right through, got there, got him in the backfield. In Tennessee, if I'm correct, this was the first time Tennessee didn't run for 100 yards in a game in like 5-6 years. Like, that's what they do. They run the ball. Heupel's offense is built to run the ball. Even with the veered shoot, it opens up the run game so much, and he likes to run it down your throat. Even with the tempo that they run. I don't want R. Mason playing in this game if that's the situation, because if he plays and something else happens, he won't even be here if we win the game and make the playoffs. I would prefer to wait for him to play LSU. Personally. Because I don't think we will truly need him as much until, I think the LSU game would be him tuning up for the bowl game or whatever happens next. I don't think we need him to win. Let's put it that way. I think Danny and PJ can handle it with Taylor Wan and Marvin Jones Jr. Long-winded way, but that's what I think. Luxury of depth. I love it. Competitive depth is what we got there. Uh-oh. Think I lost your go ahead.
There we go. No, that was great. You put it very well said. I dropped a new line the other day. I talked about depth of investment, if you will, on this team, because they have competitive depth, but I think they have a depth of investment in terms of the number of players, whether they're playing or not, who are willing to put in the work, do the homework, and prepare accordingly. And I think on that, Danny Okoye is certainly a layer to that effort. I wrote about him a little bit today on the site.
Yes.
The stuff that they say about him and the stuff that he does behind the scenes, not just in practices, but the grind that he puts in terms of watching tape and asking questions and seeking out coaching from both the staff and his peers. I think Okoye is ready for the moment. I think that Taylor Wine, I think we still maybe don't talk about him enough.
We really don't.
He's really, really good at football. I think that Marvin Jones Jr., when the light switch is on, is a force. And I think PJ has shown a mountain of improvement over the last few weeks. And I say all that to say this. This is going to be tricky because you're balancing, do you need him to win this game versus how much do you need him to win what could lie ahead?
That's true.
Because that's what it comes down to for me. I don't know that even if he's saying, Coach, put me in, doing the typical player number. Please, put me in. I don't know that I could do anything other than look him in the eyes and go, hey, man, like, we're going to the playoff. You don't know that, obviously. We're going to the playoff. If you're not playing in that playoff, then we will regret this moment, until the very end.
Yep.
And given everything we've talked about, with the Brent Venables stuff and kind of layers of that, and then, the playoff stuff and how that could kind of work out mathematically, I don't know if you even have an ounce of doubt that it's worth playing him in this game if it means risking him to not only just go out and secure your playoff spot with 2 more games lying ahead that are winnable at home.
Yep.
But then also I don't know that it's worth the risk of potentially playing in a playoff game without R. Mason Thomas, knowing that he maybe suffered something off the heels of this injury in the Alabama contest. I don't know that I could do it.
I agree. And Jimmy, you make this good point that Bama will know who Okoye is. Oh, they know who he is. Any of that defensive staff that's still there, they wanted him. Saban wanted him bad. He went there and he was like the MVP at that camp. And they're like, hey, whatever we need to do, He's a freak. He's doing backflips, just standing there. So it's crazy. But Jonathan, to answer your question as far as downgrades, when I look at this, I could see Jaden Jackson moving into probable, depending on how treatment goes. I could see them saying, Jaden, do you want to play? How do you feel? Sure, we'll put you out there. But again, the luxury of depth, the competitive depth that we have, we don't have to play Jaden. Because I went and looked, snaps-wise, Dominic is right behind him in snaps again in Tennessee. He's 39-32. We rotate a lot of dudes. We played 84 snaps, so you played a lot of defensive linemen in that game. You did see some Okoye. You saw some Marcus Strong, which I think he's a little underrated, if you want to be honest. Right? I think he's very serviceable in what he does and getting to the quarterback and wrecking havoc. But I think it's going to be a Stone and Dom / Stone and G Baby type of setup in this game. So do I think anybody will do I think that if anybody would downgrade, that's probably the ones I expect. The probables, I expect all of them to play. I think Keontez Lewis is going to be back. I know that he's been fighting to get back, and unfortunately for some what I recognize is he got his bell rung a little bit in that Texas game too. And that's why when you saw him, nope, we're not playing with your concussions because you hit the wall, you got hit against Temple, and then Texas, sit for a bit. So he probably is going to play.
I think it may go beyond a concussion as well. I think that I've been saying there's a lot of bumps and bruises that he's been dealing with that keep coming up. To Jonathan's question, could you pull up the injury report one more time?
Yes.
So downgrades, I'm just going to be honest. I could see a world where they look at Derek Simmons, considering that he is now a multi-time concussion guy. I could see a world, especially with Foj playing a right tackle. I could see a world where they look at him and go, hey, man, head injuries are bigger than ball. We're rolling with the freshman. Let's make sure that you're completely healthy moving forward. And I could see them downgrading both R. Mason and Jaden Jackson, if I'm honest with you, like close to kickoff. I don't think that they will or have any incentive to up until closer to kick. And then I think Keontez is going to play. Kobe, to me, is kind of the biggest question mark because I could see him going either direction.
I have thoughts on Kobe.
Let me hear them.
I kind of want Kobe to not play in this game because I would like him to be 100% for Missouri and LSU.
Yeah.
Two teams that run a lot and will need to run a lot because of how their team is set up. I would like him to be at as close to 100% as possible for that game. Those two games. Because he's going to be critical in not letting Ahmad Hardy and that other running back run all over the place. This game is going to be really pass heavy and blitz heavy. Give me some Owen, some Samuel Masigo. Hell, throw in a little James Nesta.
Kip.
Keep Kip out there.
Kip kind of balled out against Tennessee, and we forget because Owen
he really did. Well, I mean, at this point, it's just like you expected. We've gotten past the. I'm surprised that Kip was good. No, Kip is good, so we expect him to keep getting good. Unfortunately, right? That's kind of where you're sitting at. You expect him to be that good.
Jake S. with a question real quick. Did we discuss who isn't on the availability report anymore? Did I miss that? Gentry Williams, notably,
Yep. Gentry ain't on there. Buddy.
Yeah. For those who might be interested, he spoke with us on Monday in media availability in Norman. I think that kind of shows you where they're at with him. And he spoke a lot about the studying that he has done on Alabama's passing attack. I think he's starting in this game on Saturday.
Yep. I'll have a video on that because coming up sometime tomorrow because it was aggregated by the Alabama people.
That was ridiculous.
And, it was so ridiculous.
It wasn't Alabama people, to be fair. It was one account that's
it was one account. It was one of the, it was an Alabama account that aggregated it. And what made it so funny on that is the Alabama fans were in the comments like, he didn't lie. He told the truth.
Well, that's why I said that. Like, that's why I want to bring it up, because every Alabama fan was in like, somehow, you did something wrong when every college football fan wholeheartedly disagrees with you. That never happens. And everyone in that comment section, Jay, what are they saying? He didn't lie. He didn't say anything.
He's offensive. Right. We don't have a leader. We literally are like spread out perfectly. That's what makes Ty so dangerous. Like, he didn't say, and that's the funny thing, because all I'm saying, he didn't throw shade. He didn't say nobody was good. He just said that we give the ball around, and statistically, we do.
Yeah, and he was saying it as a compliment. He was like, dude, they have Bernard, and he was like, we all know about Williams, and he was listing almost every single receiver and basically saying, hey, like, they got all these dudes. They don't have to have a top option, and they can call anyone's number, which makes them a little bit more difficult to defend. And for some reason, we choose to not listen.
Yeah.
And this Alabama account said, well, maybe I can get a couple of clicks. It's like, all right, dude,
whatever. Go, take advantage.
Between that was pretty egregious. I saw that. And then I saw someone, the Kane Womack quote that I was talking about earlier, where, Kane was like, we got our ass kicked. I think either Alabama or Oklahoma account took that, aggregated it, and was basically implying that Kane was talking about last year, Alabama versus Oklahoma. And everyone was like, no, that's not what he's talking about at all.
So, yeah, they were basically saying Ben Arbuckle kicked my tail last year. And it's like, that's not what he said. And that's also not what he meant. He was on the team.
It wasn't on the team.
It was Joe John Finley. He's probably, if anything, we talked about him. He's talking about Sunbelt and all other times they saw each other. But I digress.
We got to do something about these aggregate accounts, man. I've never had a platform to say this, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. Please. These aggregate accounts in college and especially the NFL, get them the hell out of here. It's so annoying.
It got bad the minute that Elon decided to pay people X for engagement, and then now you just got to farm it. It's all rage bait now. Like, and it's unfortunate that us as humans in society, our biggest thing is we have no problem. We gravitate to the to the rage. Like, you'll see me screenshot stuff and I post all the time. Nope. Not going to do it today. It's basically me preaching to myself saying, don't do it. You type something crazy out and you realize this is stupid. You delete it. Don't participate. But John had a question for you. John, thank you for the $1.99. We appreciate it. Colin, do you think we play a 3-man front?
I wouldn't rule it out. I think that Brent has shown you at times that he does like that look against pass happy squads. And I totally get it, because it allows you to do a lot of stuff in the back end coverage wise. And I personally would assume going into this that he'll primarily go 4, because let's just call it what it is. They might be down a couple of bodies on the defensive line. And I think that there's one of two ways he could go about this. He could either say, all right, strength in numbers, let's get our guys out there and try to wreak some havoc. Or he could say, hey, I'm down my best pass rusher. I'm down one of my best at defensive tackle. Let's play Dominic in a straight up nose or whatever the case may be. And maybe let a guy like Taylor Wine play more old school end. And, they have the bodies to do that. I think that is something to monitor. And I believe they did that one time this year. I'm blanking on whether it was Auburn.
It may have been Auburn.
I think it was Auburn. They kind of rolled out the 3-down stuff for them, because I think they knew that Auburn was going to struggle to run the ball. Well,
that sack that R. Mason got to close the game out was a 3-man front. Now that I remember it, because it was supposed to be 3 dudes rushing and nobody rushed. They basically just R. Mason said, "Don't rush. I got this." And then he went out there and just went karate chopping in the throat and stuff. Got in there and got the sack. And the other 2 dudes were just standing there like,
"Yep, long arm, strong arm."
He got him with that. So Yeah, I could see it too. It would make sense with being down Jaden Jackson, especially because just Bama just isn't a strong running team. So I don't think that would be too much
Yeah.
of a hassle. I like this question though too. This is a good one.
By
What
the
is
way,
the status on Heineke's cast?
thanks for the super chat. I appreciate everyone
Yes.
supporting my guy Jay here.
Appreciate that. Yes. Status on Heineke's cast because if it was smaller,
I mean, I don't know, man. I think we talked about this the last time you and I did the old CK and J show. I was thinking that like we skip over the fact that Heineke like ruptured his thumb, got stun blocked down to the ground. Matt Drill styles it to get up and sack Jackson Arnold. And then he gets up and I'm watching him on the all 22 and he's shaking his hand. He's like, damn,
that hurt.
Broke my thumb, basically. And he did all that. I mean, hey, man, that game was all about hurt thumbs and crazy plays.
Yup.
I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I have any pulse of the Owen Heineke beat or the Owen Heineke cast beat. You know, I haven't asked anybody like what they're doing with him. I think we all got a lot on our plate, and so I can't blame them if they would get mad at me for kicking tires. But I think that if Owen, the moment he is able to get the club or cash, whatever that be off, he would do it, and I think they would do it, especially because I don't know if you remember that he got the green dot against Tennessee, and I think they kind of want him to be fully operational.
Agreed. Yeah, So I think the moment he can get that thing off, he will. All right, this is the last question because I think that this was a very interesting one, and I think it's funny the response in here of how diabolical it is to even ask this question. Still, what's the latest on with Ott?
Don't care.
Not sure why you even asked the question, my friend. Like no shade.
He posted on Instagram a picture of his car, and that's the latest with him.
Yeah, all of his endorsements are still running strong. Everything he's still killing it. I just don't know what to say. Like it's unfortunately shown that it just did not work. Sucks.
No, never mind, man. I shouldn't go down the rabbit hole, and I like to think I'm a nice person.
You are a very nice person, and that's very, very adult of you because I've already had a few people just ready to just jump all in it and talk about it. I'm just like, guys, no.
You ready for this? This is a great way to close it out.
All right.
I quite literally, to what you were talking about earlier, how you remind yourself constantly, don't react, don't respond. That's what people are looking for. There were, I shouldn't even be saying this because people are going to take it as, this, that, and third. There was some stuff flying around the old internet a couple days ago that I saw, and I about bit. I don't get in any Twitter beef ever because I never want to come off as like I have a problem with a human being.
Right.
But man, there was some stuff going around, and I had a tweet typed out that I'm just gonna be honest with you, it was a little strong, it was a little aggressive, and I went, all right, hold on, let me think about this before I send it. I hit save draft, and your tweet came up where you said, "Nope, I'm not gonna do it. I'm a better man than this," and I then quote tweeted it. I said, "Another reason why we should all strive to be more like Jay." And I closed that down too because I was like, I'm probably just acting a fool too much on the timeline. But remember, folks, always be more like Jay, and we'll get one step closer in life.
I appreciate that because my mantra has always been shout out to Herm Edwards, don't press send. Don't press send. I type it out. I get it off get the energy, I get the thumbs going, and then I'm just like, select all, delete. Just don't press in because it's
Herm, man.
It's much better for all of us, right? It's awful. Bishop Franklin, thank you for the 333. We appreciate it. Salute my guy. We appreciate the super chat. But yeah, for me, I just don't. Yeah, I stay out of it. We don't touch it. We walk away, and we because boy, dude, whoo. There's some stuff on there, dog. Like I think it pisses me off most as I wrap up here is like, I'm just like, I just can't bring myself to do it. So like I do occasionally though. not going to lie, I will post a video of a former player that other fan bases have been talking smack to us about when they do certain things. And I'm just like, oh, wait, this happened? And it's not really me just tossing shade, but it is throwing the video on the timeline. I probably should stop. I do have a level of petty that I need to get better at, be a better human being about. But sometimes, hey, man, this will be funny. Sometimes this will be funny. That Kanai Walker pick 6 that got Jackson Arnold bench. I'm sorry. I'm still cracking up from that.
Good for him. Good for him.
Of all people, dog. Of all people.
I'm happy for him.
Me too. Dude's a beast. Dude's a beast.
Not popular, but I was fist pumping for him. I was like, good for Kanai Walker, man.
Good at Kanai. I enjoyed him here. He was fun. Him and Dobie together was a good time. You know who else I didn't see on that list, which we probably see him on Saturday, was Kendall Dobie. That's another conversation for another day. Thank y'all for pulling up. Please hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Please check out my boy, Colin Kennedy, over there at Sooners Illustrated. I posted all the stuff in the chat here. Go to Sooners Illustrated. 247. Actually, you know what? Here's the link. I'll put it in there. 247sports.com/join. Use promo code SoonersPod60. Shout out to our partners at Sleeper. Use our promo code UNFAIR, and they're going to hook you up. With that, we're out. The CK and J show. We'll come back again soon. CK is going to be around. We got Missouri. We've got LSU. It's going to be a great last few weeks. Hey, y'all be blessed.
Now that I'm living part-time in Norman again, maybe an in-person pod.
Hey, I like that idea. I got the equipment. I could bring it somewhere we could set up.
Teaser.
Teaser. We're out.